Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's time just starting my Insta Live moment. Sorry. I promise I'm getting into the swing of this much more. Start live. Here comes this. Okay. Let us get into it. How's it going, everyone? Welcome, YouTube. Hey. People say, oh, wait. Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me? Can you? Whoops. Yay. Pammy, can you hear me? Pammy, can you hear me? Yes. Hi, Anna. Okay, cute. So welcome now to the full moon broadcast from EdibleSpirit live. Yay. Hi, Allie. Hi, everyone. So this is this newfangled exciting thing that we've decided to do on the regs. Let's see if this helps. This is this thing we've decided to do. No, come on. Regs. Okay, here we go. Now we are plugged into this situation. Hi. Okay, so welcome to this. We are now officially in the season of the Scorpio full moon. We're in it. We're at it. It's happening. It's on. It's coming. See you tomorrow, Anna. It's coming. It's on. It's happening. It feels fantastic. Cool. We're going to get into this. So as we've been doing with this wonderful live stream moment, we're just going to talk about the astrology of the full moon, which is happening now, which just happened at 8:58 p.m. We're going to go into a little bit of a reading for each of the elements. For those of you who know, I hope you've already watched your Elements of Spirit because they came up today. For those of you who don't know, we do a live, pre-recorded readings through the elements of earth, air, water, fire, and ether every Sunday on YouTube. And those are up and out now. They're in the world. So you can go to the youtube.com/EdibleSpirit and watch those videos every week. And then we're adding this into the mix, a new moon and a full moon broadcast every 2 weeks, in order to just make it frickin' delicious, to get it all feeling, tasting, vibing great. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Scorpio full moon, remembering that the reason why we're doing this every 2 weeks is because the natural cycles of the universe, the natural cycles of the sun, moon, and stars actually move in smooth and sweet and beautiful timing. Hold on, I'm just checking to make sure that my sound is okay. You guys are okay? I think I'm going to turn this off just because I'm worried that it's going to be fricked up. Okay, so sorry, once more from the YouTubers. Will you just give me a thumbs up or tell me yes that you can hear me as I'm talking to you? I don't want to be doing this the wrong way. Once more, sorry, guys. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, so the story is that every 2 weeks the moon is new, and then every 2 weeks the moon is full. These are natural cycles of that which is going on in the air, in the sky, around us, inside of us. And when the moon is new, it means that the sun and the moon are sharing space. They're on the same point in the sky. They're conjunct each other in the sky. When the moon is full, they are actually opposite each other in the sky. So right now, that's what's going on, is that the Sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Scorpio. They are pairs. They're opposite each other. And what's cool is that the sun sort of represents the energy, the force, the spirit that's moving through us, whereas the moon is the container through which that moves. Also, it's like the sun is the spirit, the consciousness, the outward flowing energy. The moon is that internal, emotional, introspective energy. So when we're in a moment like this in a full moon, we have the sun and the moon are opposite each other. And opposition is a kind of alignment in which we're being asked to find a balance between somewhat opposing forces, or one could say complementary forces. So basically what we're working with now is the idea of the sun in Taurus, which is the sense that we're getting our power from that which we can have and hold, and we're giving our power to that which we can have and hold. So it's a very tangible, sensual, Venusian creature comfort moment, right? That we're having, because the sun is now the sun is now in Taurus, opposite Taurus. Oh, and Taurus is thought of as the sign which is about personal resources, personal values, personal worth, right? Whereas Scorpio, opposite, is about other people's resources, other people's value, other people's worth. Also, Taurus is like the most material sign, and Scorpio is like the least material sign, the most sort of transformative, death and rebirth kind of vibes. So they seem to be opposing energies, but in fact, they're actually very complementary energies. And because they're opposite, what they're asking for us on a full moon, as we've gone from new moon to full moon, it's that energy where there's no moon in the sky, it's now there's a full moon in the sky, so it's this growing energy. So full moons represent a kind of peak of energetic experience. It's like whatever's been cooking for the last couple weeks is now at a rolling boil. And what the last new moon was in Aries. So it was this journey of self-expression. We were learning a lot about what we had been through in the previous weeks of Mercury retrograde, which we're almost like officially out of, kind of like as of tonight. So whatever you've learned over the last 6 or 7 weeks that is super existential, super empowering, very much about who you are. Hi Tara. Super existential, very much about who you are, why you're here, what you're doing here. There's a kind of crescendo of all of that information into this very tangible form. So my feeling is that after tonight, we're going to shift into this experience where all of these things which seemed kind of theoretical, existential, experiential over the last 6 or 7 weeks, while we're trying to get stuff done, trying to do right by ourselves, maybe struggling to do that at times, maybe feeling like we can't keep up, maybe feeling like it's all kind of out of control. It feels like now it shifts into this moment of tangibility. And what I've been talking to with lots of clients this week is the idea that the air is ripe for stuff to precipitate now. So all of these kinds of theories are ready to yield fruit. So all of these experiences you've been having are ready to kind of pop, not even really pop, but drop, right? We're not popping, we're dropping. So it's exciting, but what's challenging about this moment is that in order to fully embody and really make that magic drop into tangible form so that we're more comfortable, more steady, more have better self-esteem, feeling better about ourselves, it means we can't just focus on that which is tangible. We have to focus on the opposite of Taurus, Scorpio, the most intangible, the most passionate, the most transformative. It's like you try to catch a Scorpio and they're already gone, right? Because it's a flowy water sign, as opposed to Taurus, which is a heavy, delicious, sensual earth sign, right? It's like, yeah, okay. It's like, I don't know, I'm trying to use a food metaphor. It's almost like eating an oyster, and the oyster is sort of this, product. I guess oyster is pretty watery. Let's think about it. It's almost like, let's say eating like an apple, right? And you eat the apple, but but then the energy that the apple gives you makes you feel so hot and gorgeous that you then like want to like make love to someone. So it's like the material resources versus the immaterial resources is what we're working with when we're working with Taurus and Scorpio. Okay. So the thing is that, so we're working with these inner resources and outer resources, what we have and can hold versus what we have that we can't necessarily hold. So what you want to be paying attention to as we move into this full moon is, where is that balance at for you? You know, what is valuable to you? And making sure that in order to make all of this fruit drop out of the sky, you could become obsessive about what you need to yield, what you need to make. And you should be clear about what it is that you need to drop out of the sky. If you want to make some money happen, right? If you want to make some money to buy something, to get something, hi, honey. You want to make some money to buy something, to get something, now is a great time to do it. It's just, you want to remember that you don't necessarily have to do it by putting one foot in front of the next. You can use magic. You can use your invisible talents. You can use your charisma. You can use your charm. You can use your ability to, you know, win friends and influence people, which is like, Scorpios are often thought of as being very manipulative. I was when I was a child, and now I've evolved a bit, you know, so I still know that that's something that can be in me, but you know, I like to work with other people's energy in order to make sure that everyone is doing really well. So just remember that your resources are not necessarily just what you can have and hold. They might be what's inside of you. And you want to be trying to find a balance between what's going on outside of you, what you want outside of you, and what's going on inside of you and what you want inside of you. How are we going to find balance? There's two things that are going on in the sky that are really going to help with that. One is Saturn. Saturn, the sun and the moon, the full moon, you know, is in a triangular formation with the planet Saturn. And Saturn is usually like an old, annoying grandpa energy, but not right now. Right now, Saturn is coming in to help us learn lessons about, clearly define, and sort of practically activate this very existential inner-outer tension. Who am I on the inside? What are my resources on the inside? What's going on in my life around me? What are my resources in my life around me? Is there a greater harmony that I can cultivate between those two things? And the thing about Saturn coming along says, yes, look at it. You can. It's time. You have more skills. You have more gifts. You have more passions than even you give yourself credit for. More invisible resources that you can use, that you can put to work to get what you want, to feel the way you want, to live in the home you want, to, you know, build the world that you want, to manifest what you want. And the idea is that Saturn is providing just some support, but also this sense of, you may have to do something about it too. You may have to look a little closer, think a little harder about this balance between what's going on inside of you, what's going on outside of you, and what do you want to change, and what do you need to learn in order to make those changes. The other thing that's happening is that, what is this, Jupiter sextile? No, I don't really care about this. I have some notes here, but I'm only telling you what I think is important. Okay, so I'm not an astrologer, but I work with this stuff because it does tend to have an influence on our experience. The other thing that's going on is that the same, the new moon, full moon is also square this minor planet called Ceres, which has to do, Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, grain goddess, right? Like Demeter, right? And so there's this idea that it's almost like our inner resources and outer resources are relative to how well we're taking care of ourselves in the world. So Ceres represents kind of nurturance and this sense of like modern motherhood, right? Like co-parenting, you know, non-traditional school systems, you know, homeschooling and such, right? And then also actual education about the earth and about food and about nutrition and nourishment and all that stuff. So really, that's the question I would ask you is, how are you feeding your resources, right? How are you nurturing your inner self and outer self? And as long as you're nurturing that inner self and outer self, what do you need to learn in order to, as long as you are nurturing inner and outer self, what learning, let's put it this way, what learning can you apply to the ideal balance, ooh, this is fun, of inner and outer comfort. Okay, so I've been preparing for this, you know, on and off all day, and yet I'm a channel. So when I sit down here, the better information comes through, right? So as long as you are nurturing your inner and outer self, what learning can you apply to the ideal balance of inner and outer comfort? Comfort, security, comfort, tangibility. That's what Taurus season is really about. That's what we have going on. Okay, so all of this, as I call this out, it's like a healing that I would be doing with you in private, where in order to kind of get the power, shift the power, move the energy around, we got to name it, we got to call it out. And so that's really the whole point of when we do ritual to honor the new moon, full moon, or the seasons, or any kind of ritual, really, it's a matter of gathering, formally recognizing the forces that we're working with, calling upon those forces, asking them to align with us, to work with us, and choosing to work with them. So your being here right now, my being here right now, the fact that we're doing this regularly is hopefully over time going to help us all sync up with these influences that are beaming through the cosmos into us. Now, that's all really nice and well and good, these cosmic influences, but if we don't have a way to gather and formalize and ritualize and anchor these forces, then they can be kind of abstract and overwhelming. So that's why Edible Spirit. I always try to take these insanely diffuse, abstract concepts and make them easily digestible, delicious, bite-sized nuggets. That's what we're doing here tonight. And this sentence is a great example of that. As long as you are nurturing your inner and outer self, ask the question, what learning can I apply to the ideal balance of inner and outer comfort? What have I learned over the last 6 to 7 weeks about who the fuck I am and what the fuck I need? Okay. That's the question. And Saturn just says to us, it's a really good time to learn some shit because the Mercury retrograde stirred up all of this information and all of this understanding, and you don't have to learn from it. You don't have to do anything about it. But if you actually take a moment to think about these invisible forces, which are not just happening astrologically through the law of correspondences, as above, so below, this shit is going down inside of you because you're basically your own private Milky Way. Okay. At least your own private solar system. 7 chakras, 7 planets, lots of orbits, spinal column, you know, as above, so below. That's how they say. So point is, the more we do this, the more we show up, the more we have fun, the more we gather for these broadcasts, the more healed we're going to be and the better the world's going to feel, God damn it. Okay. So as promised, I'm going to give you, you know, I sometimes say that we're going to do little rituals here, and I do. I intend to bring you mini rituals, but based on what just moved through my pussy, we're doing the ritual, gathering here, being together, you know, working together, lighting the candles, lighting the sage. All of that is fair game as ritual. With my sage at, from the front to back, sage, you're feeling that? Put both hands up, could you repeat that? I'm trying to take my sage, say I don't need that. Okay, I don't have a lighter. And little known fact, I don't know if you guys know this, I was always taught that it's not really polite that these beautiful candles are actually like portals to the spirit world. So it's not super polite to stick things into the candle. You're better off lighting another match, or, you know, that's why oil lamps sometimes, like you can light from an oil lamp or like a flint or something. So I'm not going to light this. But something else that you can know is the property of sage is wonderful enough. You could just use your mind, but I like to use a smudge as an intentional tool just to clear this space, do some visualization, clear myself. I did this before we all gathered, but in the meantime, I'm just giving us a little extra for effect, right? And may some of this, all of this wonderful clearing energy also go to you. Yeah, we are not limited by time and space. It does work. If you take a nice deep breath of white light in from your crown and into your heart, and then exhale it from the heart out the root of your spine. Feels good. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some readings now. I'm going to give you readings through the elements. I'm going to use one of my favorite decks, OG decks, which I have here, because I have my little black leather New York doctor's bag because I'm in NYC right now. So I've been traveling with this as with all my crystals and whatnot in there. So this is the reading portion of the evening. We're using the Crowley Thoth deck, which some people think is shady and shadowy and creepy, but I use other decks too, and I don't think it's so bad. People are like, that deck's so dark, but I like it because there's astrological influences on it. So do me a favor, take a moment, take a nice deep breath for yourself. Oh, I don't need this stupid thing on anymore. We're going to do this with sunglasses on. So take a nice deep breath for yourself. And if you watch the Elements of Spirit, which are up now as of today, you will know that we do these readings through the 5 elements of ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Ether is the element which represents all of the signs, which represents the whole wheel of the zodiac. And then each of the other signs in the zodiac have an element that's associated with them. So just stick with me. We're going to go in the order of ether, air, fire, water, earth. I will call it out for you, tell the signs that go along with it, and that'll get your reading. The question that we're infusing into the decks today is how best for us to work with this lunar cycle? What does the moon, the full moon in Scorpio, mean for you? First of all, what does it mean for all of us, right? We're just going to pull one card for the ether. What does this full moon in Scorpio mean for all of us? How can we approach it? How can we understand it so that we can work with it in the ideal fashion? Okay, so this is reminding me, I don't know if she's watching, but my homegirl Tara, the most amazing, brilliant Magoo yoga teacher from Philly, brilliant actress, gorgeous, glamorous creature all around. We were texting a little earlier about what's going on with the Scorpio full moon. So when I say, what is this? What is this about for all of us? It's the sun, which is like this feels fucking fantastic card. Oh, Scorpios are often thought of as being like a little crazy, a little creepy, a little hypersexual, a little out of control. When we're talking about this full moon moment with the Saturnine influences and with the Ceres influences, to me, it's saying that Ceres as, grain mother, right? Mother of grain, and Saturn as like, basically like white man, cis white heteronormative daddy. Cis white heteronormative daddy is helping us to negotiate the relationship that we've been nurturing between who we are, what we have, what we can hold, and who we really are, what we are, how we feel inside. Okay, so what this, to me, it's almost like Ceres, Mama Ceres and Papa Saturn are forming like a beautiful container within which this alchemical reaction between our outer world and inner self can be both nurtured, fed, stabilized, and also, harvested. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. So Saturn is the energy that's harvesting the relationship that we've nurtured with Ceres. Basically, though, the sun implies everything feels fucking great, but it's not just a kind of essential greatness. It's not just the light. It's actually light in a manageable form, and in a contained form. It implies a kind of contained paradise, right? It's in another deck, it's like the Garden of Eden. And so there's this idea that whatever world you realize you live in over the last 6 to 7 weeks, who you really are, the body you inhabit, the life you inhabit, the home you inhabit, the existence you inhabit, all of that feels great. We're supposed to languish in it, make sweet love to ourselves, feel really good about who we are in this contained, accessible space. So I always say that even if this card turns out upside down in a reading, it's still just as strong as it is right side up because it's just that powerful. It's just that bright. So this is a great thing for us to pull for the next 2 weeks. What does this Scorpio full moon mean for us? It means we are full of sensuality, full of a sense of self-worth, inner and outer. And then I think because hopefully we've been nurturing this relationship to ourselves, Saturn's coming along to be like, learn from this, figure it out, and then you're going to get some fruit falling from the trees, right? So go with it between now and May 20th, right, for as long as the sun is in Taurus. My personal gut is saying it's going to feel really great and it's going to feel really even better, right, over the next 2 weeks. If you're super duper paying attention to what you want to manifest. I haven't been using that word. I've been using the word precipitate, because all the elements are in the air. But the idea is to just take what you've learned and add that little drop to the solution, which makes the crystal just, precipitate and fall to the bottom, chemistry vibes. Okay, so that's the ether. That feels great. We'll probably come back to it. Let's see now for the air signs. So air signs include Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Libras, Geminis, Aquariuses, Aquarii. Aquarii for the straight guy, Aquarii for the non-gender conforming them. Very Aquarian that. Okay, so how shall we as air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarii, approach this full moon in order to glean maximum learning, maximum awesomeness, just to work with the force of this sun too in the ether. Okay, so this says very simply to you air creatures, get out of whatever annoying intellectual restrictions you find yourself in. So this is saying that you've probably learned over the last 6 to 7 weeks who you are, and now you have a sense of your world closing in on you, or at least of the structures, both tangible and intangible, which are confining you. So the idea here is to do your best to subvert those restraints, to work against those restraints. Also to work with those restraints, because the upright version of this card says we have these restraints so that we can transcend these restraints. Also a very Saturnine lesson to learn from the uncomfortable stuff, and to find freedom in restriction is, I think, a lot harder than finding freedom in freedom. Right, and therefore the fruit is going to be juicier, right? It's like some kind of like tropical fruit that manages to grow on like a bluff in Ireland. I don't know that it's ever happened, but it's probably going to be really delicious because that fruit had to fight for its life to taste good. So even if it doesn't taste totally delicious, it's probably going to taste like a fruit you've never had before. And novelty. We all love novelty. Okay. So that's for the air signs. It's saying, look at what you've learned about your structures, the relationships that you find yourself in, what you've learned about yourself, and apply that learning to at least work with / against these confining structures, which maybe you don't necessarily love so freaking much. Just checking in. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go to the fire signs. That is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. What is the best way for the fire children to approach this Scorpio full moon, to work the energy, to see what's what? Oh, interesting, another sword. So this is the 6 of Swords. So whereas with the air signs, it's all about like, okay, now you understand how you're confined. Now it's time to work against that confinement. In a way, this is the 6 of Swords, which is called science in this deck, which implies that instead of you trying to subvert or work against or undo the ties that bind, you actually really want to work with them and try even to come to new agreements, to new understandings, to new assessments. So whereas the air signs may have realized what they're working against, you guys are realizing what you're working with. You have a stronger sense of the relationships that are serving you and that are working with you. And the idea is that you want to actually keep trying to come to these group consensuses, consensi, I don't know, to have as many meetings of the minds as you possibly can in order to create new forms is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, this card is about Mercury in Aquarius. I mean, I won't go too far into it. It's just sort of saying like communicate radically, right? Know the mold in order to break the mold. See not necessarily the confining circumstances, but just the intellectual structures, the relationships, the belief systems that you find yourself in that maybe you didn't even realize you were existing within, that all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, wow, like my entire life is built up around relationships that in which I've agreed to be less than I am. Great. So if you're an air sign, it's like time to fucking work against that. If you're a fire sign, it's time to work with that. So the idea would be if you're an air sign, it's like try to get out of some of those relationships. If you're a fire sign, it's saying try to work with them, try to broker new understandings, try to have difficult conversations, even conflicts, right? It's important. Okay, water children, water babies, water bearers. Is that cool? Fire breathers, make sense? Feel good? Any of y'all out there. I think I got some fire children watching. But all the same, water babies. What is the best way for the water babies of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces to work with this full moon lunation, to approach this full moon in Scorpio, to work with it, to gain the maximum, you know, expansion, growth, alignment, healing, deliciousness, maximum deliciousness. Okay, cool. So this is saying, I don't know, the phrase that comes to my mind is high on the hog, that y'all, we might be feeling so great that we end up being a bit like fire signs, right? That we end up like cutting some bitches and burning some people and hurting some feelings because we're like, ooh, I feel so good. My life is so deep. And like, even if it's not deep and great, it's like, oh, even the drama is amazing. Even the drama is delicious, right? The idea here is to get some perspective, back up, calm down, feel your oats, but think critically. Saturnine vibes. I don't know what the actual astro association with this is. I'm pretty sure it has Scorpio, something to do with Scorpio, because there's water all over it. There's a snake in it. There's an eagle in it. It looks like there might even be a phoenix in it. So all of those things represent Scorpio. But this is the this is like the airy, the fiery part of water. You know. Oh no, wait. Yeah, it is. It's like the it's the airy part of water, because there's a lot of this card always reminds me of getting some distance on your feelings, thinking objectively, using your mind, using your head. So in a way, what I would say to you guys is over the next couple weeks, as you start to feel more and more in your flow, just catch yourself every once in a while and don't necessarily second guess yourself, but just think. Whenever possible, think before you speak. You know, it feels more so like you're feeling so great that you don't realize that you're making other people feel terrible. So it would just be like, think a little bit, be a little sensitivity, be a little more sensitive, put some energy into cultivating sensitivity. And then the other way that I would say this is just apologize quickly if you hurt someone's feelings or if you feel like you've stepped on anybody's toes. It doesn't even have to be that heartfelt of an apology. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, please forgive me. It's literally like, I'm sorry for stepping on your toes while I was feeling my sunny oats. Sorry for that. Makes sense? Anything to back that up? Yeah, it's just saying stabilize, find stability, you know, we don't want to surge through this moment. We don't want to blast through this moment. We don't want to just blob through this moment. We want to kind of glide through this moment. So just know that the way that these forces are happening, this Scorpio Taurus, I think there's a lot of power that's going to come for us water children over the course of the next couple of weeks, a lot of flow that's going to come out of us. And it's just this sort of like check your ballast, like check how much water you're taking on and how much you're giving off. How much are you absorbing? How much are you putting out? That goes back to that Scorpio Taurus, right? Contrast, my inner resources versus my outer resources. Just try to keep a clear head, maintain some perspective, and recognize that you're probably going to be feeling really deeply. So without second guessing yourself or interrupting your flow, check yourself before you wreck yourself and everybody else whenever possible over the next couple weeks. Cool. Last but not least, the Earth babies. Ooh, this card wanted to jump right out for you. Oh, Miss Trana, you missed the Scorpio reading. It just came out. It said you're going to be feeling your oats over the next 2 weeks. So as you're feeling them, as you're feeling like a baby dancing in the sun, just remember to check in every once in a while. Check yourself before you wreck yourself and everybody else, okay? I'm coming for you, EK. Coming for you now, Miss Taurus. Miss Taurus. Full moon. No, it's a Scorpio full moon, but the sun is in Taurus now. Okay. The card that comes up for the Taurian earthy children, Taurus, Virgo, and what's the other one? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. All my best bros are Caps. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. How do you approach the power of the next couple weeks? You're going to love this. Get to work. Get to work. You do want methodical, practical, plotting energy. Imagine yourself like walking down a very sort of like sludgy, not sludgy, like dirt encrusted mountainside, and then all of a sudden it starts to pour rain, right? That's the Scorpio full moon, pouring rain on top of your Taurian hill. As you're walking down that hill, it suddenly turns into a fucking amazing water slide of productivity. So don't jerk around. Don't think that just you Earth children, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, get to work. Take those steps, take those actions. What in the old Rider-Waite decks, it's just a very simple thing of a workman at his bench with the 8 pentacles hanging out around him, and he's pounding, pounding, pounding. I always connect to the rhythm of it. Just keep pounding away. Just keep pounding away. But we're going to tie it into the Scorpio Taurus full moon, right? The Scorpio full moon. As you're pounding away, you must keep a balance between your inner energy and your outer resources. You can't overwork yourself to the point that you're working so hard that you got nothing left inside of you, but all of this finished product around you. You want to work exactly the right balance based on what you've learned about how you overwork or underwork yourself in the last 6 to 7 weeks, right? Learn about the work that you desire to do and do that work diligently. So basically what that means, and maybe we can say this for everybody, over the next 2 weeks, try to have reasonable expectations for what you got to do to strike this balance between your inner and outer comfort, right? If you do nothing but work for outer comfort, you're going to have nothing left inside. If you do nothing but cultivate inner comfort, you're never going to take any actions on the outside, and nothing's going to happen and nothing's going to go down. So what you really want to do is, like we said, nurture using this influence of series. Nurture yourself or else, right? You're not going to be able to apply the lessons, the Saturnine lessons that you've learned from the last 6 to 7 weeks of Aries explosion, Aries retrograde, Aries clusterfuckery, Aries snafus, Aries integration, Aries aha, I'm alive. Oh. And now suddenly it's Taurus season, right? And now the fruit's ready to drop. So if you want to make that fruit drop, do some work, but maintain a balance between your inner energy levels and your outer sense of productivity, especially Earth signs as you're going. Scorpio, I'm sorry, I talked to Scorpio because everyone's a water sign. Everyone who's a water sign is a Scorpio, and it's me. No, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. The way you're going to find and maintain that kind of inner balance of awesomeness, right, using this force of the Scorpio moon, is to just check yourself before you wreck yourself and everybody else, and back off a little bit. It's going to feel so good that we might be going down that muddy water slide, just taking everyone with us, being like, come on, it's a booze cruise, right? Doesn't everybody feel great? And like nobody feels great except for us. So slow your roll, back off, chill a little bit, it'll be fine. Fire children, new brokerage. The way that you're going to establish that wonderful balance between your inner and outer experience is to rally your closest consigliere around the table. I'm talking to you, Steph, if you're watching. Get your consiglieres. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? No, that's my braces. Get your consigliere around the table and ask them to help you understand, to communicate how you're doing between your inner and outer resources. Am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? Could I be doing more? What do I need to be doing? What do I seem like I'm alive and feeling great, or like I'm, dead and paralyzed? What's the read? That's the vibe here, to figure out, broker, communicate new modes of balancing, nurturing, and applying the learned lessons. And air signs, air children, there's really something here which just says you've figured out the problems. You know who you are. You have a sense of the content, and also a sense of how your forms are restraining you and restricting you. So don't let them restrain you and restrict you. Try to work against them. Try to grow through them, and even to some extent grow against them, right? Grow past them, grow beyond them. At the very least, work to create a little bit more comfort without short-circuiting yourself. Or I don't feel like you need to have lots of crazy conflicts. That's why I'm kind of going back and forth on this one. It's just the problem's not going to go away if you don't do anything about it, right? If you don't try to find a more spacious, comfortable container, problem's not going to go away. So, but at the end of the day, what I was definitely not expecting, just because, I never expect, even though I believe in a world of infinite love and peace and bliss, how often do you expect the greatest things to happen? We got the sun. We got the sun coming up for what is the deeper meaning of this, you know, Scorpio full moon. Sun feels great. That's how we're vibing with it. So I hope that's helpful for all you guys. That's a reading. And then, yeah, find balance between self-possession and and service to others, right? Find structure. Okay, so, oh, I love this. Okay, so, you know, by way of ritual, what I would actually say to you is, yeah, this is a ritual. I'm not writing it down. I'm just going to tell you that what we have here. I may include this in one of the comments afterwards. But the ritual is to sit down, get quiet, get yourself grounded. Imagine a beautiful orb of protection around yourself. Today I'm seeing a white egg. I don't know why. Let's make it a green egg for me. Green egg, is that okay? Yeah, green egg, white egg. Green and white is how it's feeling. Okay. And then you sit in this space. And the idea is you get a lighter, you get some matches, you have a candle in front of you, and you imagine a flame rising up in your heart. And then you strike the match, light the lighter, and you light that candle. You look at that candle. You imagine that candle as the full moon. You say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, full moon. Thank you, passion. Thank you, resources. Thank you, inner resources. Thank you, outer resources. Just give some of that worship and gratitude, which is why, you know, the witches used to dance with their titties out. Some of them still do. To honor, to be free, to howl with the moon. You know, it feels great. But then I encourage you to use this affirmation, which I'm going to share with you now. I promise to take responsibility for my passions and to express my self-worth in the world. Right? I promise to take responsibility, Saturn, for my passions, which have been nurtured by Ceres, to express my self-worth, my values, my inner resources in the world, Taurus, okay? I promise to take responsibility for my emotions and to express my self-worth in the world. And this is coming into, ooh, this one's even better. Okay. So this one's fun. And then you can add on to the end of that as many times as you like. And I would even say sit with it, meditate with it, use it. We are all each other's mother and father. 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 Can you imagine if we loved each other as much as we love our children? Oh, but we're not related. I'm not going to do that. What if I told you I don't have any children, so I love you as much as I love my own child who I don't have, right? Do you believe me? I believe me. Can you say that to yourself? Can you affirm that to others? So there's something in that. I don't even know. I mean, this is what happens when you channel stuff, right? Live on YouTube and Instagram. We are all each other's mother and father, right? I promise to take responsibility for my emotions and to express my self-worth in the world. It's like in really old school, like Freudian, you know, blah, blah, blah. You can't make your way in the world until you fully express yourself, right? Even if it makes your parents uncomfortable. So what if I told you that, you know, as long as you're not harming anyone or hurting anyone, nothing you do makes me uncomfortable. Nothing I do makes me uncomfortable anymore. You know, I don't want to make other people uncomfortable, but sometimes I do if it means that I get to feel great as long as I'm not harming anyone. So the point here, I promise to take responsibility for my emotions and to express, my passions, sorry, that was big, my passions, and to express my self-worth in the world. We are all each other's mother and father. So the thing is that at the end of the day, everybody wants to do this. Everybody wants to express themselves. Everybody wants to feel good inside, have a good amount of energy inside, to see themselves affecting change in the outside world, to see their effectiveness, to see their monolithic sense of existence, right, manifested in the world around them, usually through children. But what if you didn't need a child to hold that form? What if taking responsibility for your passions until they were able to express themselves in the world what if that was the kind of highest model of this Scorpio, Taurus, you know, balance, influence? I'm not saying it's the highest model. I'm just saying that's what's come through for me today with this Ceres and, Saturn lunation that's happening. But then this reminder of we are all each other's mother and father sort of says we all want to have somebody applauding for us at the school play of life. We all want someone to show up for our existential music recital when we're doing our best to be true to ourselves and sing our song, sing it loud, sing it strong. It's like we all want someone to be there for us. I mean, I do. So use that as you will, and then when you're done, just cooking with that. My point is that kind of transmission will help you to anchor the full moon lunation in your body. So the same way that I try to provide simple affirmations every week with the elements of spirit, this is useful for you to pull in this influence of the full moon lunation over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would even encourage you to come back and skip through this, reading and see if what I'm saying makes any more sense to you after the 2 weeks or while the 2 weeks are unfolding. So let's see. That's it. That's all she wrote. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, see, it's not going to be as bad as we think it is, but some shit might get crazy. That's exciting. Think about how much you have to work with, really. Even if you think you have nothing, you got yourself. You got your love, you got your heart, you got your consciousness. I'm here for you. I'm here for you guys. I love you so much, and I'm really stoked that we get to keep doing this every couple weeks. Come back for what's it called? Come back for Elements of Spirit next Sunday. I'm doing aura picks at Alegria Bazaar. I think on Mother's Day, somewhere around there. I can't remember, but I'll post about it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EdibleSpirit, Facebook.com/EdibleSpirit. Subscribe to YouTube, YouTube.com/EdibleSpirit in order to get the weekly Elements of Spirit. And there's so much crazy shit going on, you guys. I'm making music. I had a meeting with a gallery today about presenting some new artistic pieces. Everything feels good, and I love you so much. And may the sun shine brightly on your scorpionic lunar selves. May you feel full like the moon and worthy and valuable and priceless like gold in Taurus. And may you, well, we'll give it to you here. May you enjoy the process of taking responsibility for your passions until you see them expressing as delicious fruit that's dropping from the sky, manifesting, precipitating in the world. Remembering we are all each other's mother and father. We are all each other's mother and father. We are all each other's mother and father. I love ya. Mwah. Ciao, 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 ciao.